In this training video, I'm gonna be sharing with you 3 easy ways that you can get a date within 24 hours or less. Now, the very first tip I'm gonna be sharing with you is for dating apps. So whether that's Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, Facebook dating, or any dating app whatsoever. Using it will easily turn all of those random little matches you get into actual dates with beautiful people. And as an added benefit, it will weed out any robots so you know that the people you're talking to are real life human beings. Now, this technique is a powerful technological hack that you probably already have inside your phone. Secondly, if the online dating thing isn't really for you, then I'm going to be sharing with you a tactic that enables you to literally sweep your social media and your phone book to identify hot, single, attractive people and to easily get them to go on a date with you. Now, this can also have the side effect of getting you out of the friend zone too, so it's well worth putting into practice. And lastly, if you're already in a relationship, I'm going to share with you a little tactic that I like to use on anybody that I'm in a relationship with to ensure that they remember a date with me for years to come. This works great for anniversaries, Valentine's Day, and birthdays. And the best part about it is even if the person knows that I'm doing it, they still appreciate it because it's genuine and it comes from the heart. And that is what really makes this powerful. Now, for those of you that watched the previous video, you're going to know that this is just a very entry-level part of something that I call the soulmate trigger, which I'm actually going to be explaining a hell of a lot more about in a video that I'm going to be sharing with you very shortly. So make sure you watch out for that. The soulmate trigger is now an infamous seminar where I teach people how to trigger that little psychological part in someone's brain that makes them feel like the two of you could be soulmates. And this is a very powerful psychological technique, and you're going to have to make sure that you use it with complete care. But I'm not going to explain that to you in this video right now. Instead, I'll be saving that for the soulmate trigger video. So you're going to have to wait a little bit longer before you get that and before you fully understand all of the concepts within the soulmate trigger. But I do want to make sure that I take you through these 3 tips in this video to help you get all those dates within 24 hours. Now, if you're thinking that all of these videos that I'm creating are sounding a little bit more like marketing hype or something like that, then I just want to get a few things just out there. First of all, I am really sorry you feel that way. And second of all, I'm actually just really excited. You see, the soulmate trigger is a program that I created many years ago, and it's a technique that I've known about for a very long time. But I've released it only in previous sort of like very small amounts and limited edition runs in the past. And we revamped the entire program for a modern age, in 2020. And so I'm just really excited about getting it out there and sharing it with you. So if it sounds a little bit like marketing hype, I really am sorry. It's just I'm full of energy. Like I'm really excited to get this out to you. And so I want to crack on with this and do a very quick recap of what happened in the last video. In the last video, I explained that the biggest mistake that most people do on dates is they try and buy them. They try and buy a gift and hope that buying the gift makes up for the fact that they really didn't do anything special on the date. And you can't just buy someone flowers, buy someone chocolates, buy someone a teddy bear, buy someone jewelry and have it mean something. Look, if you took $300 and you went out and you bought your partner a really nice necklace, or maybe you spent $3,000 on a nice necklace, it doesn't actually matter about the amount of money. If you took an amount of money and you bought them some jewelry, they're just gonna say, oh, that's really great, thank you. And then pretty much they're gonna forget about it. And it doesn't really matter whether it's $300 or $3,000, it's like the same impact. You know, they might enjoy the gift at the moment, but I guarantee you within about 3 months, they probably can't even remember which special occasion you bought that jewelry for. The problem with it is it just doesn't have the same impact that you need it to have if you want to really get a strong connection with somebody. You know, buying something doesn't have the same pull that you need to ensure that your relationships are going to go well. In fact, there are people right now out in relationships who are buying the end of the relationship. You know, they're literally just paying for things, hoping it will keep that relationship going, and all they're doing is speeding it towards an end. And of course, it will keep ticking over, but only as long as those gifts keep coming, and the relationship is basically as good as the last gift was. In fact, you can get stuck in these situations where you constantly have to buy bigger and bigger gifts because the previous one has to be outdone by the next one and so on and so forth. Otherwise, it doesn't show an increase in love. And, the flawed logic behind this is insane. And yet people are doing it all the time. I'm going to share with you in the Soulmate Trigger seminar, which is coming up very soon, not in this video, but in a future one, a technique that means you don't ever have to buy anybody a gift. And instead, you can trigger the feeling inside them that makes them go, wow, this is somebody that I really want to be with. This is somebody that I love. This is somebody who is so much different to everybody else because they're not trying to buy me. This is what you're trying to generate inside somebody. And one of the biggest reasons why you're going to be different to everyone else is because you're not going to be buying their affection or manipulating them into giving it to you. You're actually going to feel them giving you their affection completely for free because they believe that you deserve it. And that's one of the most important things for your love life. And like I said, I'm going to be covering that in a future video. Now, I did explain also in the last video that the tactic can be done incredibly easily, very simply, by just organizing an experience. If you're single, then you can use an experience to gain a whole bunch of people around you. And then, of course, you can have them competing for you, because there's a whole bunch of people trying to, look up to the person that's the leader of the group, which is you. And so that way you can just pick and choose the person that you want to date. If you're in a relationship with somebody, or if you've met somebody on a date and then you're trying to take them out on that date and you want them to think of you as being something specific and special and unique. And if you're trying to do that, then the most powerful thing that you can do is to ensure that you're setting up some kind of mystical, magical experience that they're going to remember for a very long time. And that's gonna have a much better impact than just trying to buy somebody something. And by just putting a little bit of thought in it, making it a little bit more romantic and going out of the way to do something that the average person just really wouldn't do, you are ensuring that you stand out and that the other person is going to be more attracted to you because of it. Now, maybe you're thinking, yeah, sure, I do some kind of experience, it makes me stand out, it makes me stand out a little bit better, and it's better than a gift. But why is that? Why does that change? Well, the reality is most people that try and learn dating techniques or any kind of self-help in this area will probably focus most on the learning attraction part. In fact, there are a lot of books that teach like the art of attraction and seduction and what have you. In fact, I've got a whole bunch of seminars and videos devoted to attraction myself. And attraction is, if you think about it from a magnetic point of view, attraction is literally the idea of two things that are attracted to each other, or somebody attracting you or you attracting somebody else. Attraction is the art of being so awesome that everybody around you wants to be near you. And a way that a lot of people cheat that is that they use money or they spend money to try and buy people things which they feel will make people attracted to them. But really, they're just attracted to the things that they're buying, if that makes sense. They're actually attracted to you, they're just attracted to the money. And anybody can go out and get money, right? What I'm trying to get you to do is to try and think of this in a bigger way. Believe it or not, there is something bigger than attraction. There is something you can use that is even better than just being attractive, and that is the power of belief. You see, somebody will stay in a relationship with you even if they're not as attracted to you as they could be if they believe that it's meant to be. And this is because belief is an internal thing. It's a self-motivating factor, not one specifically based on things you're doing for them, but something they believe inside in themselves. If I believe something and I believe it so strongly that I'm gonna make that claim to everybody else around me, then I'm gonna stand by that belief, because otherwise I'm disagreeing with myself. And this is why people from certain religions or what have you become very, very fanatical about that religion. It's because they truly believe that what they're saying, and even if they're proven wrong, it's not about whether they were actually right or wrong, it's about their own ego tied up into it. You see, they need to believe it, and because they believed it, they will fight back against it even harder to convince not only the other person, but themselves of their own belief. And it doesn't matter how much logic you put in front of them, you are not going to be able to convince them of anything other than that, because this came from their belief, and their belief is the foundation of their own ideas. I want you to imagine that you're in a relationship with somebody and they are really attracted to you. That attraction can fade, and you can lose that attraction by just doing something that makes them feel unattracted to you. Or maybe, if somebody else came along that is slightly more attractive than you, then maybe they might be drawn to that person instead of you. But if you've managed to get them to believe that they are supposed to be with you, if they believe internally that the two of you are destined to be together, then nothing in the world could be more right than the two of you being together. And it doesn't matter if you lose attraction a little bit. It doesn't matter if somebody else comes along that on paper looks better than you, because your partner's internal belief is that they should be with you. And this is what is so powerful about belief, and why learning how to trigger belief in somebody else truly is one of the most powerful things that you can do to improve your dating life. Just imagine what your life would be like if your partner wasn't just attracted to you, they didn't just like being with you, but they genuinely believed at their core that they are supposed to be with you. In that kind of scenario, it wouldn't matter if they had somebody else coming in trying to take them from you. It doesn't matter if their parents are against the relationship, because their internal belief is so strong that nothing can shatter it. And this is why the technique that you are going to learn from me, that I call the soulmate trigger, is one of the most powerful techniques that you can ever learn. Now, typically, I've only reserved teaching the soulmate trigger to people who come and sign up for my private VIP trainings or my exclusive limited edition runs of the very old original version of the soulmate trigger. Now, the private VIP people are people that pay at least $10,000 to come and learn from me in person. And they expect the best. They don't just want to learn, here's how to be attractive. No, they want to learn how to truly make somebody completely into them, how to make somebody believe that they are meant to be together, and this is what I teach in the soulmate trigger. So I hope right now you realize why this is so important, and why knowing how to get someone to believe in their internal core that they should be with you truly is the key to making sure that you have not just a happy, fulfilled relationship, but a relationship that you can count on, that you can rely on, being in a partnership with somebody who you know is going to be completely loyal to you. Now, at this point, I should probably give you a word of warning. The power of a soulmate is so incredible. In fact, it's so powerful that if you use it on the wrong person, then there's a chance that that relationship is going to end up getting a little bit clingy. Have you ever been in a relationship with somebody and suddenly you're not really feeling the relationship anymore and you want it to end, but the other person becomes incredibly clingy to you and you can't really get away from them, and then they start causing all sorts of conflict and tantrums, and they get possessive and jealous? If you consciously use the soulmate trigger, you run the risk of triggering this in somebody, and you're going to be activating it and making it happen. In the past, you've probably only done it by mistake, but this is truly something that you're going to learn how to make happen on purpose, so you have to be careful with how you use it. Of course, the soulmate trigger works best when you're not single. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some tips to make sure that we change your single status to get into a relationship as fast as we possibly can. That way you can get to using the soulmate trigger right away. But like I said, you want to make sure you're using it with somebody you're in a relationship with and you really want a very strong, tight bond. So my first tip for you is actually an online dating tactic, and I love this one. It's actually pretty brand new. No one's really using it, and it's incredible that it works so well, and so I thought I'd share it with you in this video. Now, if you don't currently use emojis on your phone, then you're missing out, because one of the coolest things you can do is use emojis in all of your text message conversations. And one of the best things you can do is you can actually create a Connect 4 board. What you need to do is find 3 different colored circles in your emoji keyboard. And there's a lot of different ones, but you're specifically looking, especially in the iPhone, it's like the black one, the blue one, and the red one. And I think in some of them it's like a circle and then it's a white one, but it changes depending whether you're using iPhone or an Android. But either way, you're looking for 3 different colored circles. And then when you first get a match on an online dating app, rather than just sending them any old message, what you can do is you can send them a whole bunch of empty circles, or a whole bunch of black ones, whichever it is, depending on which phone you're using, and create a Connect 4 board. And then on one of the squares down at the very bottom, you replace one of the circles with either a blue or a red circle, and then you just say to them, hey, it's your move. And so what's great about this is you've essentially designed a Connect 4 board using emojis and taken the first step, which gets them caught up in a game of Connect 4. Now, of course, this is going to be so unique that, and because nobody else is doing it, that you're almost always guaranteed to get a reply with them essentially copying the board and taking their move. And by the time you go forwards and backwards, taking turns playing the game, then it gets very easy to throw in little bits of conversation, which makes it very simple to talk to somebody. And that's what I mean about creating an experience. You're not just having the same conversation with somebody that everybody else is having. You're doing something unique. And if you start that today or tomorrow, I almost guarantee you that you're gonna end up getting a number of different conversations flowing with like 20 different people. Now, most people on dating apps are not using this technique. So you're gonna get a bunch of people responding to you, and they're gonna realize that you aren't just trying to match with them, to maybe have a fling or to get in some kind of deep relationship. You're just focusing on creating an experience, and that experience is fun, and they're gonna associate that fun with you, and it's gonna make them more interested in you. It's gonna make them wanna spend more time with you, and potentially wanna go and hang out with you. And this is a very powerful dating tactic that you can use right now on any online dating app of your choice to ensure that you've at least got about a couple of people that you can go on a date with within the next 24 hours or so, exactly as I said at the beginning of the video. Now, of course, if you hate online dating, you can use the exact same technique on a phone, with people that you already know, but there is something else you can be doing. I did mention in the last video the power of organizing an event. Now, organizing an event if you're single is really good, and I mentioned that you can organize a singles event. You can put it up on meetup.com and you can put it up on Facebook, but if that seems like it's just too much effort, and obviously I know a lot of people are actually secretly very lazy, and they're like, oh, I don't really want to put the effort into doing any of this, then something you can do instead is just write a message on your social media and then send a message to any of your friends that you think might be single and be like, hey, what are your weekend plans? Now, you can actually just write that in your status right now publicly while you're watching this video, and it can be one of the easiest things to do. Something like, hey, I'm just curious, what's everyone's plan this weekend? Now, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people comment, but what you're gonna see is the single people are going to comment with things that let you know that they're spending the weekend alone. They're gonna say things like, oh, I don't have any plans, or, I'm gonna do Netflix and chill alone. And what you can do is you can group message all of those people and say, hey, you know what? I'm finding that there's a whole bunch of people that don't really have anything to do this weekend. And so I'm going to invite them to go to a group movie and a dinner. And I wanted to make sure I invite you too. Now, this is something you can also do on your phone by just going through it and messaging every single person whose phone number you've ever managed to collect and see how many people actually turn up. It's a very low pressure way to organize a group event. And actually you're doing a really good thing because you're bringing a whole bunch of single people together. So this is one of those genius techniques that if you do it, it's going to result in you ending up with a bunch of single people hanging out with you and giving you your pick of which one that you want to make a connection with, and potentially at some point down the line, use the soulmate trigger with. Now, you might be thinking that that's not going to work, or that you could just go on a date with just one of them, but going on a date with just one of them instead of the group actually makes it a lot harder for you to go on a date with the one that you want, as there puts a lot of pressure on that scenario, and you're not there in person to convince them that it's worth it, right? Because you're just communicating via text and it might just sound too pressuring for them. But if they go out with you in a group of people, all that pressure's removed. And you have the actual chance to set up a solo date once you meet them in person, and you can set up that date in the future, so it's much more likely to work. Now, if you're still on the fence as to whether this will work for you or not, I want you to think about this. If you don't try this technique, then it's definitely not going to work. But don't be a skeptic. Don't be somebody who's like, oh, this is never going to work for me, so I'm never going to try it. Just try it. We're just talking about sending out a couple of messages or putting a status up on your social media, or sending out some messages in your phone and seeing if the results. It may not work, but often, for almost all of my clients, in fact, it does. And there are far too many people that look at dating advice online and then think they don't have to do anything with it. And then they get upset that their life isn't changing, and they become even more cynical about it. I'm literally sharing with you the things that I know are going to get results. If you watch this and don't test it yourself, then it's your fault, and you've only got yourself to blame if you don't get the results. Now, this last tactic that I'm going to share with you is based on whether you've actually managed to get a date, or maybe if you're already dating somebody and you want to do something unique. This experience is one that I know works incredibly well, and it does step towards moving into that soulmate trigger territory. It's actually another one of those little techniques that will have a very similar effect to the ones I'm going to be sharing with you in the upcoming soulmate trigger seminar, which I want to make sure you don't miss out on. So what you can do is actually you can organize a treasure hunt, and I guarantee you that the person you go on a date with will love this. The idea is when they first wake up in the morning, rather than giving them any gifts or giving them any presents, you just give them a handwritten card. It's got a little poem on it, something that you create, just a simple 4-line poem with a basic rhyme that directs them to go to a certain part of the house. And when they go to that part of the house, they're gonna find another card that has even more things written on it. Another rhyme for them to follow, and if they follow the clues on the rhyme, it takes them to yet another part of the house. And you want to do this like 6 or 7 times, so it's 6 little modes. If you want to be really clever with that, and you really do like, buying somebody a gift like chocolates or something, then you can put 1 chocolate on each card. Now, this is a very powerful psychological trigger, but it's one I totally suggest you use if you're in a relationship with somebody. See, what happens is when somebody eats chocolate, it releases dopamine in their brain, which is the reward chemical. So every single time they solve one of these cards, they're actually going to get a little bit of dopamine for solving the puzzle, and they'll get a little bit more dopamine from eating the chocolate. And if your partner is like pretty much everybody that I know, then they probably love chocolate, and especially love fun little games. And what happens is as they follow the trail of this game, they're receiving dopamine from the chocolate, and it gets them more and more excited, and they want to continue on the trail. The more clues they find, the more they want to do it, and the happier they feel, and the more dopamine they get from those positive chemicals flowing through their brain. And of course, the more they associate all of that with you because you made the treasure hunt. For the sake of 6 individual little chocolates, I've actually ended up gaining more of a benefit than buying somebody an entire box of chocolates and giving them to them all at once. This is a very powerful thing you can do. And of course, at the very end of it, you can have a small bunch of flowers, or maybe you can even have that teddy bear if that's something you really want. That is a way of saying that you can buy these things and you can make them work in a much more inventive way because you're using it to create an experience rather than just to buy something. Now, I've actually had a whole bunch of people messaging me about the upcoming Soulmate Trigger program. And I've had people ask me if I can just send them the Soulmate Trigger program right away. And the truth is, we're actually revamping the entire program to level it up. We want to make sure that it's perfect. Well, like I said, we did teach a version of this back in the day, but since then we've actually revised the entire training. We refilmed everything and we've updated it to reflect life and the social climate after 2019 into 2020. The Soulmate Trigger program contains everything that you need to be your most attractive self and have people fall deeply in love with you. Now, it's embedded in operant and classical conditioning from the likes of Thorndike and Pavlov, famous psychologists from the past, and it helps us analyze what makes somebody feel that they should be in a relationship with you, and of course, you feel that you should be in a relationship with them. We're focusing not on what makes them fall in love, not what makes them attracted to you, but what in their brain triggers the fact that makes them believe that they need to be in a relationship with you, and that's why we call it the Soulmate Trigger. Yes, it's got kind of a gimmicky marketing name, and I know some people hate that, but I wanted to come up with something that people will remember. You've got to call it something, and it was a lot easier to call it the Soulmate Trigger rather than that weird thing in your head that makes you think that you should be with somebody, but you don't really know why. So I hope you can really forgive me on the awkward name. I want to share with you one of my most powerful, updated, and current attraction methods, and I know that you're going to love the Soulmate Trigger and the way it works, even if it just helps you understand more about yourself and the feelings that you've had with people in the past. So I want to give you something awesome that others would charge thousands of dollars for, and I'm hoping that you get involved. So I hope you appreciate it, I hope you enjoy it, and of course, all the results that you're going to get from it. So if you want to do me a favor, if you want to return the favor for all of the free content that you got in this video, and of course, all the other videos that I've been making and I'm going to be making, then please feel free to share this video or share the video before it or any of the ones that are coming up that I'm going to be releasing. It's a way that you can help me and it will really support my work. The more people that see this, the easier it is for me to keep producing videos. And if you have any questions about the Soulmate Trigger, about this seminar or any others, then please feel free to send them in to us. You can message our team either via our Facebook page, which is Ask a Dating Coach, or you can go to our Facebook group, Confidential Dating Advice for Professionals. I'm gonna make sure that I link to both of those somewhere in the description outside of this video for you. I want to take a moment to thank you ever so much for watching this video. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you in the next training video.